industry leader. Once again, with the Memorial Holiday Weekend upon us, we have once again teamed up with our friends from Flournoy and Flournoy Attorneys at Law to talk about, driving while intoxicated. I think 2 years ago we actually drank alcoholic beverages to show what the effects would be on our blood alcohol content and on our ability to drive with alcoholic beverages in our system. Last year we wore the drunk goggles to show what we did like in an obstacle course. Just even walking was tough to do. This time around we're going to go through the process of what it's like actually being arrested for driving while intoxicated, and we actually have with us once again Sheriff Greg Sanchez from the Angelina County Sheriff's Department. Thank you so much for being with us. Introduce who you have here with us.
Okay, today I have Deputy Henley and then the Warden Strickland from the jail, and we're here to talk about the Memorial Day weekend.
I was looking at some stats, and I think the Memorial Holiday Weekend is one of the dangerous, if not the most dangerous, holiday weekend when it comes to drunk driving and accidents on the road.
Yeah, it can be because it's the start of the summer, right. And so according to the weather, how it turns out has a lot to play in that. Because if it's really nice and hot, then you have more people out there drinking and things of that nature, parties going on, and that's what y'all trying to do. Is if you're going to do that, then you need to be responsible, for your actions.
So we are going to try to show the process of what it's like being arrested for DWI. So, by the way, Sean Erickson is going to be our guy that made the bad decision.
We definitely need to go ahead and put one of those disclaimers out there that when little bits of this hit Facebook, this is a dramatization. This is not real. And honestly, this is the first time I will ever have handcuffs on. So,
really?
Yeah. I'm a little nervous.
Okay, so this is the problem. Now, we're pretending that Sean has already been arrested and already brought to the jail for booking. So, with that said, let's go ahead and place the cuffs on him, if you don't mind.
Oh, gracious.
All right, so.
Turn around there, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Do they always laugh like that?
Today, yes.
Okay, so how's that feel for you right now?
This is, well, it's not comfortable, but it's not near as bad as it would be if I had my head down, worried about what was going to happen next.
Right, exactly right. So, one of the first things that happens, of course, you got him arrested, and they bring him to the jail, and then what?
Okay, the warden's going to fill in on that.
Okay.
So he's over jail, so he'll tell you.
It depends whether they got sent to get their blood drawn to see what their intoxication level is, or they actually have an intoxilizer at the jail. So whenever they come in, they do their intake, they ask all their questions, mental health questions, suicide questions, things like that. Once they get that paperwork done, then the deputy or the trooper or the police officer will take them to the intoxilizer room and they'll do a breath test. That way they have their paperwork for the arrest. Once they brought into the jail, they go into a holding cell, and then they'll wait to be booked in. Sometimes their intoxication level is so high that they cannot be booked in immediately, so we have to let them sober up. Once they get booked in, then they will have the ability to bond. If they do post bond, before they're ever let out, they have to pass a portable breathalyzer to make sure that they're not under the influence before they're bonded out. And normally there's a 4-hour waiting period just to make sure that they're able to be bonded out.
Right.
If they do not bond out, then they'll have to wait and they'll have to go to court. And the bad thing about that is our judges and prosecutors are tough on DWIs because it is a serious charge.
Right. So what, in your experiences, and anybody can kind of weigh in on this one, in your experiences when somebody is a first-time DWI offender and it starts to hit home of what just happened, what's the usual reaction?
They go through a lot of emotions. Some of them are really upset. Some of them don't even know what to think. I mean, sometimes, DWI, sometimes it's the first time them coming to jail for a DWI because a lot of people, they don't think about how serious their action is until they get brought into jail. And the jail's not a good place to be. I mean, you come in there, you're placed in a cell, and you don't get a phone call until the officers let you. You don't get booked in until the officers let you. You have to sober up. It's kind of an eye-opening experience when you're placed in the cell and you're just stuck there.
So what's it like out in the field when you're actually making an arrest for DWI? I mean, what's their usual reaction?
They go through several emotions. Disbelief is the biggest one, in my opinion. They just cannot believe they're being arrested. They cannot believe that we're performing the test on them on the side of the road. Sometimes they get sad. I've seen grown men cry.
Oh, I bet, I bet you Sean would, yeah.
Yes, many emotions, and it's up and down all the way to the jail, all the way through the process and the tests that we conduct.
Well, what are some of the the most common comments that you get as far as, something along the lines of, don't you know who I am, or I'm not drunk, or what?
Yes, we get that. Did you know who I am? I didn't have that many. I only had one or two. Two is the most popular. I only had 2 beers. I wasn't speeding. All kinds of stuff.
But they were this tall.
I only had 2, but you weigh 25 pounds. Exactly right. And
also, while they're speaking to you, they're falling into you.
Uh-huh.
And you're having to constantly catch them or sit them back up straight or prevent them from falling over or whatnot. And they don't see that. They don't even feel it. They're so intoxicated they don't know.
And you hate to kind of, I'm not glamorizing it, but you hear all these different reactions from people say, well, I am a happy drunk, or this guy's an obnoxious. I mean, do you have a lot of these obnoxious people that give you a real tough time?
Yes, or that will dramatize the test that we give, like the one-legged stance, or they will, the walk and turn, they'll dramatize it, and I've seen some kind of put a little dance in it. I mean, we've seen that in movies, we've seen that on TV, but it does happen, yes. Or, they spit on you a lot. There's a lot of saliva coming at you,
That can't be fun.
No, it's not. It's not fun. You just never know.
And
our problem at the jail is, you could have somebody that is an absolutely wonderful person when they're sober. When they're intoxicated, they give us a really hard time. I mean, because that's, they're not in control of their emotions. They're not in control of what their thoughts are. And then once they sober up, they're like, you know what, I'm really sorry about what happened last night. And of course, my guys are so used to it, they're like, hey, it's part of it. It's okay. Nobody's mad at you. That's just it.
Now, not saying that Sean, who's
the punching the doors, and they're going to hurt themselves. So of course, we have to go in. We have to restrain them. We use the least force necessary to accomplish that, to keep them from hurting themselves or keep them from hurting somebody. The deal about it is when they come in and they are combative like that, all that does is slow the process down. Nobody's going to bring them out and book them in if they're combative. We're not going to have them standing and book in if they're still wanting to fight. And the majority of the time, once they sober up, they're okay. And they're very apologetic.
Oh, I bet they are, yeah.
They are.
And so, you want to take yourself out of the cuffs now, my friend?
Well, if it's time, I would gladly not resist removing the cuffs.
So something like we're on the combative nature, like spitting. Is that when you actually have to put some sort of device over the mouth, or what?
Yes, we have it's a mask, and it's just mesh, and doesn't restrict their breathing or anything like that. It just keeps it from flying out.
Well,
we have a restraint chair that we have to use, and that keeps them from hurting an officer or hurting themselves. I mean, they're actually
there you are, sir.
There you go.
To keep them from hurting themselves or hurting anybody else, and it just slows the whole process up. It just because you could be in the chair until you're not combative anymore.
Yeah.
So it just slows the process.
And I think, Danny, the whole point of that shows you that's the danger of them being on the road, driving a car,
sure.
And that's why you hear a lot of people getting killed by an impaired person, whether it's drugs or alcohol, and the things they're talking about just shows you they're not in control of themselves, and they don't know what they're doing.
And you brought up a very important word there, impaired. You don't have to be over a certain legal limit of blood alcohol content to impair your driving with just a drink or two.
Right. In fact, there's one state, and I read it the other day. I cannot remember the state right now on the top of my head. They're lowering their intoxication from 0.08 to 0.04. So some states are starting to even lower that.
No.
And so they know at 04 the brain is impaired, becoming impaired, and those things of judgment, and all those things that we need to drive, perception and everything that we need to be able to drive, and judgment and everything is very important. And so they're already lowering it. So that tells you right there that states are getting even more strict on this law.
And we talked about the process of being arrested, going to jail, and so forth. We haven't even touched on as far as how much money that can cost you.
Well, it's a minimum of, in Texas, I saw it, when I was a trooper, it was a minimum at that time, $10,000. Time you get a lawyer, time you pay your, court costs and the fines there. Then you're going to have surcharges, your insurance is going to go up, your vehicle being towed off, and the list just goes on. And it's going to be very costly. Your lawyer fees alone, a lot of times are going to be very expensive. And then you're going to be going to probation. You have probation fees that you're going to encounter. So it's a very costly thing, and suspended too. Your license will be suspended. So you got to try to deal with that and getting it back.
And just the overall embarrassment factor of going back into the community with this,
Yes.
Being published and things like that.
But the biggest thing about it is that once you drink and you get behind the wheel, you're taking a chance not only killing yourself, but injuring somebody. Our parents here, everybody's here, in this building today, their parents or loved ones or whoever it may be, and are killing them on the road. And then you got to live with that, because most people, for the most part, are very good people. They made a bad choice, and they were drinking, made a bad, decision, a bad choice to get behind the wheel. It doesn't mean they're bad people, but they just made a bad choice. And what's sad about that is then they got to live with it.
Right. And wrapping things up here, let's also talk about the fact that, you mentioned there's going to be a lot of folks out on the roadways, and with that many more people, you really need to have more patrol officers, more folks there with the sheriff's department to try to help keep the roads safe.
We do, and we're really in we've been 21 years since the sheriff's department has had a major increase, and the population has grown over 12,000. And you've seen a lot on my Facebook and a lot in the paper about it. And the people are real supportive. They realize that the time has come. We've had 2 major shootings where our deputies nearly lost their life. And going out there by themselves, having to call another agencies or whatever. But still, we're very short-handed, and we need all the support of the people. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just taking it to the people and saying, hey, I need your help. I need your support. And hopefully it'll work.
All right, very good. Memorial Holiday Weekend going on. A special thanks once again to Flournoy and Flournoy Attorneys at Law for sponsoring this update on what not to do during this Memorial Holiday Weekend. Gentlemen, lady, Sean, how's your wrist over there?
Look,
You can still see the mark.
I'm telling you.
Thank you very much for the job y'all do.
Okay, so thank you.